So I want to start with a quote from the Dalai Lama from the Art of Happiness. And it states, "Love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries. Without them, humanity cannot survive." And I think that kind of gives us an idea of how powerful compassion is and how important compassion is. Understanding that it is one of our greatest superpowers as a human. Like, everybody has compassion in them, and it actually gives us power. It's good for our health, and it's good for our connection, obviously, with other people. So it's a superpower. Scientists have actually proven a direct link between compassion and our survival and our evolution. I mean, that's pretty powerful stuff. And, you know, I understood that, but I understand it even better now, and I'm like, wow. So the power of compassion and understanding that it flows in every one of us, and that we just have to tap into it, and it will improve our lives. Compassion is defined as seeing another suffering and having empathy for them and offering help or support. So as this one speaker that I watched, he said, empathy plus action. And I thought, I really liked that, because I've always taken pride in feeling that I'm an empathetic person. I've always been able to look at people and try and kind of like see how life is in their shoes. And that's just been something that came natural to me. But I didn't always take the action. And I realized there's a big, you know, you can feel something for someone, but if you're not taking the action, then you're kind of selling yourself short. And you're kind of selling them short, you know, because when you take that action, that's when the magic happens. And so it's taking that extra step to offer help from a place of empathy with nothing to gain in return and without judgment. And that's kind of a tough one sometimes for us, I think. It's easy to judge our fellow humans, but we need to understand that every human suffers. Every human. No one is immune. Every single one of us are going to suffer and struggle. It's just the human experience. But we must acknowledge our own suffering to really be able to recognize theirs. So we have to look within, and I know we talk about that a lot here, about self-love, self-forgiveness. We have to recognize our own struggles and suffering, and we have to start giving that compassion to ourselves. Because when we do that, it's like it's contagious. It has a ripple effect. The more we give ourselves compassion, the easier and the more we want to give to the others around us. We can get lost in our own suffering. We can push people away, and we can feel pretty awful. And that's because that's not our nature. We're not supposed to push people away. We're supposed to embrace our fellow humans. We're a family. Sometimes get in competition with our suffering. How many times have you been, maybe you or someone you know, complaining about something going on in their life, and another person will chime in and say, "You think that's bad? You should hear what I'm going through." And so all of a sudden we're in competition with each other, right? But society wants us to be in competition. Society is always trying to pit us against each other. I mean, it starts from the time we're little. Who walks first? Who talks first? You know? But I'm here to tell you, we're not in competition. Never, ever, ever are we supposed to be in competition. That is not what we are here for. We're here to love each other. We're here to inspire each other. And we're here to co-create together. Can you imagine if we were to stop looking at each other as competition and we started working together, the kind of world we could create? It's not impossible. It's 100% possible. We can work together to make a world that works for all of us, where we all thrive. And not just us, but every living thing on Earth. The planet itself needs our compassion. So if we were all working together instead of competing with each other, that's when the magic happens, people. So if you could look at every person that you come across, every woman as your sister, your mother, your daughter, whatever person in your life that you have that extra special love for, that special connection, if you could see that in every woman, and if you could see every man as your brother, your father, your son, and give them that same love you would give them, there you go, there's the magic. I mean, we are all a family. We have to embrace that. We are not individuals. We are on individual journeys, but we are all a family together on these individual journeys. So we have to look at ourselves as a family and love and care for our family. Because our family needs our love. It needs our support. So as we cultivate self-compassion, it strengthens our compassion for others. Our world can seem divided. Our society forces us to compete with each other. And oftentimes it's easy to get caught up in that and find ourselves judging our fellow humans rather than having compassion for them. The ego takes over and we're not seeing the full picture. So it's time for a new perspective. It's time we start seeing our fellow humans as the spirit inside rather than the ego on the outside. And we need to be looking at our fellow humans from our spirit on the inside, not from our ego. So if we're looking from our spirit and we're seeing their spirit, nothing can go wrong. It's all love. So that's kind of a change in our perspective. And so I got to experience this firsthand when I started my business 3.5 years ago. I've been working in shops for almost 25 years as a hairdresser and a barber. And I went through some pretty traumatic things in my life, in my personal immediate life. And it threw me into some soul searching, and it got me on this spiritual path that I was not on before these things happened. And it opened me up to a compassion for myself. I had to go through a healing process to heal my trauma. And as I was healing and loving myself, I started feeling more open to loving others. And as I said, it's that ripple effect. And so I had never thought about this until it just came to me that I wanted to start this traveling business where I would go to homes of handicapped, elderly, homebound people, whatever their situation, and I would give them haircuts in their home. And it seemed like a simple concept. I didn't realize the power and the compassion that was going to come with this. But now going on almost 4 years of doing it, and I can tell you right now, it has been amazing. You know, I had people say, how do you go into strangers' homes that you don't know? How do you trust that? I just do. It feels right. You know, I get in there and these people tell me how happy they are that they found me. How they've, been waiting for so long to get their haircut. And such a simple thing as a haircut. But they love it. They'll tell me it makes me feel human again. It makes me feel human again. How special is that? They weren't feeling even human. They were feeling so badly but that haircut made them feel lighter. Oftentimes their wives or husbands will be there and they'll say, oh, they look 10 years younger when I'm done, and they smile. And I hang out with them. And sometimes they offer me coffee or cookies, and it becomes this whole thing. I become a personal part of their lives. And I never knew that that's what I was signing up for when I did this, but it has evolved into this beautiful connection. And every month I get new customers. So every month I'm going into a new person's home that I know nothing about. And sometimes the environments are not the greatest, and I have to ignore that. I have to stop my judgment when it tries to kick in about it, and I go, no, that's not what I'm here for. I'm not here to judge how they're living. I'm here to provide a need. They have a need, and I want to provide that need. And so it's amazing because I didn't see it kind of inadvertently coming on to me, and I was realizing it because every time I walk out after my appointment, I would feel so good. I might even feel funky on the way there. But when I leave, I would feel so good. And it's like, wow, this is kind of cool, And so the more I do it, the more I'm like, wow, it's amazing how this makes me feel. And I'm still healing, still working through my trauma, getting better and better, coming here, being around you guys, getting inspired from the love and compassion that this place holds. And then before you know it, it evolved into my relationship with my parents and my brother. My parents are aging and they're having some issues. But as their oldest and their firstborn, I struggle with that a little bit. I'm kind of used to always leaning on them. I didn't really want to be the one they had to lean on, because they were my rock, my strength. And I wasn't really able to see their struggle right away, because, we want to see our parents as superheroes, right? They got it figured out. But all of a sudden, I started seeing my parents struggle. And I started seeing some things that I had seen with my clients. And I started realizing, Mom and Dad probably need some help. And I started feeling that compassion. I always loved my parents, but I didn't necessarily have compassion for them. And I didn't realize that was two separate things until I experienced this. I realized that I can love somebody, but loving them and having compassion for them is two different things. And so I started having compassion for my parents. And so instead of feeling burdened or regretting the fact that now I have to give up some of my time, I'm actually happy. I'm excited. I'm so excited, you guys. I'm moving in with my parents next year. And about 5 years ago, if I would have said that, I would have probably started crying. I would have thought my world was coming to an end. But my parents have been amazing, and they've been there for me and helped me through so many things. But they're not perfect, and they have their issues and their trauma. And I understand it, and I see it now. So I'm happy to move in and make their life easier. I'm happy to help my brother who has autism become independent and have a life he didn't think he could have. It makes me feel good. And my brother used to drive me nuts, but now I'm getting to help him. And he's all the time telling Mom, I want Annette. Is she going to come over? Is she going to help me? Because he's now seeing that I'm really genuinely wanting to help him because I finally found compassion for him. And I don't believe I would have reached that point if I didn't have this job where I cultivated more compassion in my life on almost a daily basis, and it just kept evolving, and now I'm having all this compassion for my family that I never realized I wasn't having, and now I'm so excited that I am having. So it's a powerful thing, guys, and it can start small, and it'll just spiral. So if you can just look at somebody out in your community and see them as your sister, your brother, and give them that little extra love, that little extra help that you wouldn't normally give. It's easy to walk by and not see people, not realize you walk by that same person every day and not acknowledge them. Maybe you start acknowledging them. I mean, I've been talking to people in the grocery store, and I never used to do that. And the one lady, if I don't talk to her now, she gets mad at me because she's like, oh, you're not going to talk to me today? I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm in my head. No, yes, I'm going to talk to you today. And so it's just making that bond and that connection and seeing every person that we're with around, wherever, even at the post office and the DMV, these people are your family. And remember, we got some crazy people in our family, our actual family, so, and you still love them, and we try not to judge them, so let's just extend that to everyone else around us. So that's where I'm coming at with compassion, and I hope you guys can take some of that and apply it in your life, because I promise you, it is the key to everything that we need in our world right now. Please recognize that we are getting ready to go into an election year. And this is a time where compassion is going to be needed in loads. Like, we really, really got to focus on compassion. And I feel like that's why it kind of came to me too. Because I don't watch news or anything, guys. I got that out of my algorithm and everything because I don't want to hear that negative approach on anything. So I just removed it from my life. But I have clients and they talk to me, oh, election this, or they'll have their news playing, and I don't talk politics, but we can talk about something else, and I'll come up with something else to talk. Tell me about yourself. What do you enjoy? What's your passion? You can redirect any conversation. I'm a hairdresser, trust me. I work in a conservative barber shop where I had to redirect some pretty stubborn, powerful men who demanded I talk politics, and I refused. So you don't have to get into arguments with people. And you don't have to have conversations that are going to be, pit you against each other. You say, I choose not to do that. I choose to show you compassion. So that's my talk for today.